Guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary, middle, and high school age. I help you implement systems and strategies in order to overcome the chaos and cultivate simplicity in your home and homeschool. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my fall refresh for my goals. So let's get started. Okay guys, so I know that I'm a little bit early with my fall refresh, and I think I did talk about this a little bit with my summer refresh, but I will go over it again with you guys so you can kind of understand how I structure my year. So the year obviously starts in January, and I set up all of my goals for the year in December. And so the first quarter of the year is pretty typical. January through March, I'm working on my goals, my action plans that I've set out, and making progress is the name of the game. And then at the end of March, I will do my spring refresh or quarterly refresh, which I think is very typical of anybody who does a goals refresh quarterly. Then it gets a little bit different because I only do a refresh for April and May. And then at the end of May, I will do another goals refresh for the summer because in Maine, I treat the summer as June, July, and August. And then we get to the end of August, which is where we are now, and I start thinking about September, October, and November, which I see as fall. Once we get past Thanksgiving, I am not typically working on new goal action items. My focus changes to the holidays, to family time. I'm not trying to be super productive on a particular goal for the year. And instead, I start thinking about the next year, and I take a lot of time for reflection and figuring out all of the things that I hope to accomplish in the year ahead, getting everything ready, really understanding my stage in life and the limitations that I have, time and money, and having a good understanding of how my life is going and the changes that I want to make. So I kind of take all of December to consider those things. And so my year, as far as goals go, I would say is more January through November, and then December is kind of its own beast. And that is how I've always treated goals for many years. If I were to try and create a new habit or work on something particular in December, 9 times out of 10 it would not work because I have a good understanding of the amount of time I'm able to commit to those types of things in December, and it's very little because my focus again is on my kids, it's on Christmas traditions, it's on family and, making memories that way. So December I kind of just don't think about. So it's the end of August and I'm doing my fall refresh. Everybody is getting ready to go back to school. All of my kids' friends are going back to school next week. So it's time to consider fall. And you'll see I'm in long sleeves because it's been cold in Maine. It's been like in the low 50s in the morning when I've had to bring Emma to cross country. So it's fall. It's fall in my part of the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go through what I had set out for the summer months and share that with you guys. So one of the things that I kind of had an aha moment when I was doing my goals for August, because I was having a little bit of trouble trying to come up with the action steps I wanted to take for August for my goals. I felt like I had really created good systems and rhythms. I felt like I had made a lot of progress on all of the things that I'm able to control in my home that I had as goals. Some of the stuff is stuff that I have to partner with my husband about, and I can't think of those things as my goals because they're dependent on somebody else. So that was the first part of the aha moment. The second part was trying to see, okay, well, I don't need to declutter my whole house because I really have done that. I don't need to create a new morning routine system because I've already done that. What are the things that I want to work on now? And so I was looking at my goals And I realized that the first three goals that I have um, all have a second part to them. So, goal number one, create and implement a clear home management system that allows me time to pursue my passions. Number two, create and implement a slow money strategy in order to pay off debt and live a life I love and that my family loves. Number three, continue to pursue my passions by cleaning up rhythms and routines and taking time for what I consider important. So, if you listen to those goals, there is an action step creating and implementing a clear home management system. But then the second part of that goal that allows me time to pursue my passions, I haven't really been considering that part of my goal. And so I was I was kind of sitting down and reading through my goals, and I said, "Well, wait a second. Now that I've created these systems, I do have some additional time where I can spend it doing things that I love, things like knitting or reading. I do a lot of reading anyways, but all of my reading is done in bed at night after everybody has gone to bed because that's just when it is for me. I have extra time now because I've created these systems, so I can include, it's okay for me to include blocks of time in my day where I am pursuing hobbies and other enjoyable things. And I kind of forgot about that. And so it was definitely an aha moment for me as I was working through setting up my goals for August and kind of thinking ahead, because even in August, at the beginning of August, I was starting to think about what I wanted to do in the fall. And so, because I've completed a lot of the systems and implemented these new systems and rhythms in my home, I am able to take that extra time where I don't need to continuously implement something because it has been implemented. We are following these steps now, and it's more automatic. It's not necessarily a habit, but it's definitely a lot more systematic than it was at the beginning of the year. I now have extra time that I can do some of these more fun things. And actually, during one of my co-working live streams a couple of weeks ago, I think that's when it really clicked for me. I didn't have anything to work on, and typically I have a project that I'm working on, steps that I'm taking to do something goal related. That's typically what I work on during my co-working live streams, or some type of planning or something like that. But I didn't have anything that day, and I was looking around in my office, which I've been going through my office again, trying to get rid of some of the stuff that I don't need. And I saw my basket of yarn and my needles and some unfinished knitting projects that I have not looked at for a while. And so I sat down during that co-working live stream and I read the new habit workbook from Cultivate What Matters, which is still kind of goal oriented. And I was knitting dish rags because we need dish rags. Is knitting dish rags like super exciting? No, but it gave me something to do with my hands, knitting something that I love. I used to knit sweaters and socks and hats and fingerless mitts and scarves and all kinds of things for my kids every year. And I haven't really done that for several years. And that was part of the reason that I was writing these goals. I wanted some systems in place so that I wasn't constantly overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that we have or all of the things that I need to do day to day. It's a lot to be a mom, to be a homeschool mom, to manage the house, to have a small business. It's a lot, and I really needed to figure out good rhythms to my day so that I could continue to do things that I enjoy and not just feel like I'm working all the time. It's hard for me to sit down and do enjoyable things. I've done so many vlogs where around 1 o'clock, I will say, and my hope is that around 2, I will be finished with my stuff and then I can sit down and read for a little while before I have to make dinner. I never sit down to read. There is always something else that comes up. But I'm getting to the point now where I've created these rhythms and systems that I talked about in my goals to give me the time and the margin that I need to do the things that I love doing. Now, I love my work. I love homeschooling. I love my kids and doing all of the things that they are interested in. I really love all of that stuff, but I can't forget that I have interests and passions outside of that. And sometimes it's very easy to get caught up in all of the other things. And it's easy to just kind of put yourself last because I do still feel fulfilled and I still feel like I'm doing a lot of awesome, amazing things, but maybe not as many things as I would like to do, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And when I started thinking about the second part of those goals, it reminded me again about my legacy goal. And my legacy goal is something that I've started to implement a little bit in August with my 3-tier morning routine, which I will leave a link for that in the description box. That was a big part of trying to incorporate more legacy in my day-to-day. In my 3rd tier of my morning routine, I am taking time to write in journals to my kids. So my journals for the kids. Each of my kids has a journal and I will just write letters to them. I haven't written very many, maybe a few pages in each journal, but it is something that I am working on and hoping to continue doing as we keep going through the weeks and months. My goal is to do it, 3 times a week, 2 or 3 times a week where I sit down and write. It doesn't mean that I'm writing to each kid every single day. I might write to 2, or I might only write to 1, or it might be a day where I have plenty of time in the morning and I can write to all 3. But then I was thinking, well, I love scrapbooking. I love pictures. I love doing that kind of stuff. I haven't done it for years and years and years. It used to be something that my mom and I did together before I was married, which was quite a while ago now, but it's something that I would like to continue doing, but I don't take time for it because I feel like I have all of these other things on my plate that take priority. But I need to remember that these goals that I created at the beginning of 2023 are not just to have good systems and rhythms in place. They're to do that so that I then can take time to do things that I love and to pursue my own passions. So that was kind of a wake-up call to me, not in a bad way. I'm very pleased with all of the things that I've accomplished this year, but I was kind of at the beginning of August, I was thinking, oh, well, I've done that. So what is the next step? If I've already completed that goal, what am I going to work on for the remainder of the year? And I realized that in the next few months, what I want to focus on is the second part of all of my goals. I want to pursue my passions. I want to live a life I love. I want to take time for what I consider important. I want to continue to pursue my passions. I want to continue to cultivate the relationships that my family already has in the community and with our friends and other family. And I want to work on my legacy. So it was really interesting to me, and it may not seem that interesting to you guys, but I wrote these goals because I wanted to take more time to do the things that I love. And I kind of forgot that throughout the months because I was just trying to get all of the other things done. And so now going into the fall, it's a busy time of year because it's back to school. Emma has cross country. The weather is typically beautiful in Maine in the fall, although this summer was kind of a bust. It rained all the time. I think it rained every single day in June, and it rained quite a bit in July as well. It made starting school in at the beginning of July pretty easy because we're all depressed that there was no sun. But thinking ahead to the fall, I know that I need to take more time to do some of those fun things. I don't know how it's going to work out yet because I have not written out my action plans for the fall. And this is something that I will typically do at right before a new season, I will sit down and write action plans. Because I purchased the power sheets for 2023, I do still have access to Goal School, and I have been using their goal action plan printables. I really like these a lot. I really liked it when they were in the power sheets, which they aren't anymore, or they weren't for 2022 or 2023. The new power sheets are going to be coming out soon. I think October 4th. I saw a graphic online, and I'm hoping to purchase the power sheets to share them with you. I don't know if I will be using power sheets next year or not, but anyways, I like to print out these goal action plans. I think they're very helpful. I will put whatever the goal is and then the big tasks that I have, but with passions and recreation type things, it's hard for me to fill out these action plans. It's more of something where I just want to make sure that I am taking a particular block of time in my day when I do my daily plan. I don't have my planner right here, but when I do my daily planning, I will time block my day. And so I want to make sure that at some point in the day, I'm taking time for things that I love doing, whether it's reading, whether it's knitting, whether it's listening to a podcast or an audiobook. Although those types of things I tend to do when I'm doing chores because I can multitask that way. Whether it is, whatever the thing is, I kind of have to sit down and figure out what are the fun things that I love doing besides knitting and reading that I can incorporate into my days. And then making sure that I take the time for those things because I have all of these other systems and rhythms in place, if that makes sense. So I have not done action plans for this season yet, and I'm not entirely sure how that is going to work out, but I know that my focus is definitely going to be on pursuing passions. And part of that is going to be with my kids. We have a passion project focused Wednesday within our homeschool day. And that is also the day that I am doing my co-working live streams with my membership community. So it does give me some dedicated time to work on a particular thing. Like I said, the past couple of weeks, I've been knitting during my co-working live stream. Granted, it is just dish rags, but it's reminding me that I really do love knitting. I actually found a sock. I found a completed sock that I had done for Emma years ago. I never made the second sock. I think that's actually a common knitter thing. You make one sock, but not the second. The sock fits Lucy now, and so if I could make the second sock, that would be really amazing to me to complete that one project. I also found some fingerless mitts that I had started. I'm like at the thumb hole of one to finish that one, then that one will only take me maybe 30 minutes to complete it, and then I can make a second one and have another pair of fingerless mitts, which we use a lot in the winter in our home because it gets cold. So thinking about some of those projects that I want to work on is what my plan is for the fall, and it feels a little bit different. There are a couple of things that I am going to continue doing this fall. One of them is my office closet. I did go through my office closet already this year, but as we have been going through all of the other decluttering, as I have gone through all of the other decluttering, I realize that I hold on to things that I have spent money on that I don't necessarily use or want or need, but I hold on to them because I spent money on them. A lot of the things are planner related or work related for me that I'm not using or need anymore, but I could see myself using them as props or in videos in the future, like old planners to do like a compare and contrast type of thing. So I don't necessarily want to get rid of all of those things, but at the same time, I don't want to have so much stuff in my closet. I just don't need it. It's organized, but I just don't need it in there. Even though I can shut the door, I don't need it in there. So going through that stuff, and then as part of my legacy and kind of community goals, I want to go through all of the cards that I have and get all of those organized, make sure that I have all correct addresses. I haven't done Christmas cards in probably 3 years. I don't think I've done Christmas cards since 2018. I think 2018 was the last time I did Christmas cards because 2019 we were trying to sell our house, and so I didn't do any of that stuff. 2020, I didn't, even though I probably should have. Last year I took pictures to send out and then didn't send any of the, I even ordered cards. I ordered cards, I took pictures, I had pictures printed. I never actually sent the cards. So maybe I will use those for this year. So making some lists of some more fun things that we can do is something that I need to work on, and that will be part of my September goals this year, because I have not just really sat down to write out my September goals yet, because I was kind of thinking, well, what am I going to work on, and kind of reevaluating my goals and remembering that I need to think about the second half of my goals, and that's not something that I've done at all this year. The other thing that I was kind of doing was revisiting my word of the year, which is slow, and it's really funny because I think that I've done a pretty good job with slow, but at the same time, I chose slow as my word for 2020. And the type of slow that it was not the type of slow that I wanted. And this year it's been very similar because we still have been very busy and we still have tons of appointments outside of the house and other activities going on and things that need to be done, which everybody has those. It's not like I can stop making appointments for everybody, but it wasn't exactly what I was envisioning when I thought of slow. I was thinking slow food, slow money, slow living, slowing down, more green living, all of that kind of stuff. And it hasn't been implemented in the way that I envisioned. And so I have actually started to consider words for 2024 already. I know that seems early, but it's usually around this time of year that words start coming to me that I kind of jot down to deal with later. I don't think about goals for 2024 now, but if there is something that I think about just randomly, or I see online, or if I watch a YouTube video and it prompts me in something, or I'm reading something and I think, oh, that would be really good, I do jot it down in my goal planner, my goals notebook, so that I can revisit it later. It's not something that I take time to consider right now, but I will just write it down for later. And so one thing that I've been thinking about is simplicity. And slow and simplicity are very similar, but just changing my perspective a little bit on what I want to do day to day, what I want our life to look like, my family and I just, it's something that I've been considering. I have felt this need to draw in quite a bit into a much more close-knit community. I run a very large Facebook group online, but I want more in-person connection. It's part of the reason that I started my membership community, which I absolutely love. It's a much smaller community than my 6,300 member Facebook group. And just spending more time really considering the decisions that I'm making, the things that I will invest my time and mental space on. It's it's just growth. It's just thinking, I'm in my 40s. I'm, you know, thinking ahead to what are the most important things for me. Emma finishing her third year of high school. This year will be her third year of high school. And so considering what's next for her and just really considering those types of things and making sure that I'm taking time for the things that matter most, which again was part of my goals for 2023 that I've kind of pushed off or not acknowledged. So those are kind of some of my thoughts on this fall refresh. And I know it's a little bit different than what I typically share. Typically, I do share action plans and real concrete steps that I want to take, but I'm not at that point right now. I almost feel like I just need to consider maybe ranking the things that I find most important, or the things that I want to do, or the things that I want to spend time doing, almost like I'm taking more time to dream again. Because, the two hobbies that I consider my favorites are reading and knitting. But I also love writing. I would love to start writing again. Last year, I did complete NaNoWriMo and I met my 50,000 word goal. Um, I made it about a third of a way through a book that I was writing, and I realized I am more of like a 120,000 word book person. I write a long story, I guess. So, but I haven't picked that up since November 30th when I finished my 50,000 words. I think I was like 50,600 or something like that. Obviously, I needed a break and it was Christmas, but I didn't take any time in the winter to work on that either. But that's something that I love doing. I don't do a ton of creative writing. I do a lot of, goal oriented or action based or essay writing, I guess, is what I tend to do for my website and my email community. So, but even that, I've kind of slacked a lot in the past year or two on writing. So I definitely, that's something that I'd like to incorporate more of as well. So I don't have like a ton written down for my fall refresh. Some of the things that I considered during my time where I was sitting down and thinking about all of this was, how do I feel about the last 3 quarters and where do I want to go from here? Obviously, it's not quite 3 quarters, it's 8 months, but what are the things that I like about the last 8 months? What are the things that I still want to work on? And what direction do I want to go now? I did write about how I feel like slow has not worked as well as I had hoped this year. I think in my summer refresh, I did also go through slow, and there are a bunch of things that I've done that were slow related, were related to my word of the year, and were considered and cultivated well. But I think the way that I envisioned slow as a whole, as a guiding word for the year, it's not been as good for me because we are still super busy. And while we did slow down quite a bit in the winter, as soon as the spring came, it was like a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff that just came at us that was not necessarily planned, not necessarily bad, but not necessarily planned. And so it didn't give us as much, it didn't give me as much rejuvenation or rest as what I was expecting within the word slow. My main focus is really going to be that second part of my goals that I haven't really addressed this year. But then my create a home where learning is valued and passions are pursued goal, I want to make sure that I'm holding firm to the couple of theme days that we have. So one is our passion projects on Wednesday, which I've already talked a little bit about, and you can see I have tons of videos about my homeschool planning and all of the things that we're doing this year. If you're interested in those, I'll leave a couple of those links in the description box for you. But then also on Fridays, I want to continue to have our screen-free day. And this is something that we've been kind of implementing over the past several weeks. It's something that we were really good about in the winter months, but I think probably around June, we kind of just dropped it as a whole. And we did do it some during our first 6-week homeschool session this year, but I want to continue to work on that. I think that it's very important for us. A lot of my kids' interests are tech-based. Jack does a lot with video game creation. Emma does a lot with writing. And so those things, I mean, writing you can do on paper, but it's a lot easier to type. So making sure that we are protecting those particular days for these particular things is definitely important to me as well. That's the only other thing that I have written down at the moment. So my fall refresh, it's really going to focus on the second half of those goals that I mentioned. And I'm not sure how it's going to look at this point. I do kind of need to consider things, and I don't want to jump into adding more time blocks to my day quite yet. So I think that as I go through my September goals and write down the things that I find most important, and then kind of having a list to work off of, I'm very list oriented. So keeping that list of enjoyable things or things that I want to do handy will be helpful so that when I do have time to do something more enjoyable or something passion focused, I will, instead of spending that 30 minutes saying, what can I do? Or what should I be doing? Should I be doing more laundry or making food or doing X, Y, or Z? Or is it okay for me to sit down and spend some time knitting and talking to my kids? So we'll see how it all translates for September. And this isn't necessarily a fall refresh, but these are just some of the thoughts that I've had as I'm starting to consider what we're going to be working on, what I'm going to be working on over the next few months. I wanted to share it with you. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have questions about anything that I talked about, please let me know in the comments, or you can always email me. My contact form is always in the description box. If you're interested in coming to check out my membership community, I would love to have you there. We will start to talk about goals pretty soon. We're finishing up talking about vision and focus for the homeschool year, and I do have weekly live streams, co-working live streams that I talked about already. I'd love to have you come and visit us over there and join in if you would like. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.